Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the CrossWinds More Than Sunday podcast. Once again, excited that you're joining us today and listening to this as we are all sheltered in place and somewhat quarantined to our homes. This is just a way for us to continue to engage you as a church body and stay connected. And today, you get to hear from our creative arts pastor, Derek Walker, who joins me as we talk about what it's like to try to put on services like this. Well, hey, everybody. I am here with Derek Walker. Hello, Derek.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. Thanks for doing this with us. I think everybody knows you are our creative arts pastor here at CrossWinds. And man, I imagine in the middle of all that we've got going on, this has probably been most unsettling for you and your team, who so much of what you do is about big groups getting together.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be fun on today's podcast for you to just kind of share with us a little bit of what our experience was like when we realized we might not be able to have a service, and then we would not be able to have a service. And then I got some other things I want to ask you about too. But it almost feels like now that I've been stuck at home, it almost feels like that was like a month ago. It was literally
just last week.
1 week ago today.
Literally 1 week ago today, you and me were sitting in a room and talking about how we probably weren't going to be able to hold church like normal. And that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. I mean, at first, I think what happened was we got the, it wasn't even an order. I heard from a friend who's a pastor up in Contra Costa County that the demand up there had been, if you have 50 or more people, you could not meet anymore.
Right.
And we were going, well, what about Alameda? As if we don't live like 2 miles away from the county line.
As if they're going to skip us somehow and move on to the next county.
Right. So I think at first we were thinking, all right, well, maybe we should consider canceling our services.
Right.
And then do you remember when we actually ultimately made the call?
Well, I think last Wednesday, me and a couple of my crew were out on a film shoot, and you called me and said, hey, when we get back to the campus, we need to sit down and talk about services. I think there's a really good chance we need to cancel services. And
that's right.
I think when you said that was, I mean, man, honestly, that was the first time I had even thought about the possibility of us not doing church. I mean, we had just done a week and we closed up our 800 Times series the weekend before.
Right.
And it had been a really powerful, really cool time. And we kind of walked into it recognizing that, hey, there are probably some people who want to stay home because of the COVID-19 thing that was just kind of burgeoning at that point. And it was just it was weird, you know, that Sunday was a great Sunday. We kind of went into it going like, it's a time change Sunday and also this going on. So who knows what our crowds are going to look like. And honestly, we were missing some people, but that was a great week. And we walked out of it going like, this might be the new normal for now. Having crowds that are a little bit thinner and us relying a little bit more online.
Right.
With our online experience. And little did we know. I mean,
no one had any idea. One week later, there'd be nothing.
Yeah. So we talk on Wednesday morning and you said that, and I just went, wait, what? Like that? You're kidding, right? You're kidding.
Yeah. And now looking at us now being in this kind of shelter in place mode, it's crazy because to even think about having a worship service in person just sounds nuts when you can't even leave your house other than to go to the grocery store, the pharmacy. But as of last Wednesday or Thursday, we were thinking life goes on as normal. We just can't get big groups in a room.
Right. And we were maybe thinking through like, hey, we probably are going to skip meet and greet.
Right.
And we're probably going to instruct our ushers and our welcome team to not shake hands. And then we were like, we're going to figure out something to be offering.
Right.
People don't want to pass around a bag, so we're like, well, we got to, that seemed to be the greatest of our concerns. Right.
And then, that's what our efforts were going towards. Yeah. How do we keep the place clean? Let's wash down the door handles.
Exactly.
So Thursday, we made the decision, and you guys had rehearsal already scheduled for Thursday night. So if everybody watched our first online service, what you saw was a full band, kind of the full experience. And part of the reason, because again, there was no shelter in place yet. And
Right.
I think you just ended up recording rehearsal, right?
Yeah. So let me back up. Everything that you saw last Sunday, our very first weekend of Fermata, when we which is a series that we've just recently started. Everything you saw last Sunday that we sent home was pretty much how our services were going to look and feel if they had been held in our building. We had an awesome kind of piece where Andrea explained the concept of fermata, which basically is a musical term for pause and rest. And we
With the strings.
performed it with a string trio, and that was going to happen live on stage until it wasn't. And we had a live band that was scheduled to do worship. Those are the songs we were going to do until we couldn't. And so what we did on Thursday, and this is why I love my team so much, our creative team, our tech team, everybody who works hard to make our services happen, kind of unified around this central point, which is we're going to have church in this room on Thursday night. And we are going to send it home to people, trusting and believing that what we do here can still impact and change hearts, even if we're not all in the same building. And
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, man, Sunday was such an encouraging day. It was weird because we still showed up Sunday morning because we knew that there were going to be people who are going to come and not. They maybe wouldn't have heard anything about about us canceling services or postponing services, anything. And so it was a weird experience to show up on Sunday and just not have to plug in and get going. But throughout the
Yeah.
course of that day, man, just what kind of came in through our emails, through social media, people snapping pictures of what their church looked like this morning, which is them in PJs and drinking coffee out of a mug on their couch and watching us lead worship on their TV was
Right.
was really kind of cool. And that's why I love our congregation, CrossWinds. You guys go with us whenever we do something. We've long had this value of everything's an experiment, and I think it's really easy to say that. But what I love about this is that when we experiment with something, you're the church that goes with us. You're willing to, okay, I'll try this out too. And so, I talked to a few of you who are like, man, I don't know how it's going to work having church at home. That's weird. I like to sing in groups. I like learning in groups. I like saying hi to people in person and all that stuff. And what I heard back on Sunday was, yeah, we did it. And it was great. We had church. It was awesome. I had church with my family. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was so fun to look at all those pictures that people sent, and you could see on Instagram. It was great to watch people watching the service, and
Yeah.
I think we probably had more people watch our service this weekend than we've had in a very long time. Something
Right.
about it being online and in their homes. You mentioned the value of everything's an experiment, and then even some people saying, "Boy, it's kind of weird to watch it from my house on TV, on my computer, on my phone." I wanted to ask you, like, what are you hoping for as the person who plans these services? Like,
Right.
it is a different kind of experience. I watched it with a group of people, which apparently I won't be doing anymore now that we are shelter in place. But we had, I think, 9 people watching it at once, and then I think 3 more upstairs playing. And so we had 12 people over. We're watching it. The first worship song comes on, and I'm curious as I'm watching, like, what's going to happen in the room. Are people going to sing along with the television, or sure enough, a couple people started just kind of like singing along under their breath. A few others felt awkward and got up and got some more food. Uh, they don't want to sing in a small room full of other
Right.
people. What are you hoping for, especially in those worship moments?
Wow, that's a great question. I always think there's a value in learning. Let me back up a little bit. I love our church. I love that people gather with us on a Sunday morning or a Sunday evening and worship with us and sing along with us. Um, CrossWinds is probably the most like participatory, loudest singing church I've ever led, and I love it. But there's this kind of trick that I think big church can play on us, and it's not a bad trick necessarily. It's just you think that you need the band and the lights and the really
And
good sound
haze.
system and the haze. You think you need that when it comes to like entering into worship, and those kind of things are all great, and they help. And worship in some regards is about a group experience. I really believe that. But man, if there's anything that's maybe taught CrossWinds how much you don't need all that, it's a time like this in our church, because I've had some great conversations this past week with people who have reached out and said, "Man, thank you for that moment we had singing. It's what I needed."
Good.
And I just think, yeah, is it awkward? Is it a little bit different than what we're used to? Totally. But I'll say that, in my years being a believer, that some of my most impactful times of worship haven't been in a room or a crowd with
Yeah.
a lot of people. They've been hiking with something playing in my earphones. I love being outdoors. I love hiking, and that's how I connect with God. It's been watching a video of someone else leading that's
Yeah.
brought my heart there. And so
Yeah. You
I
know what
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what I'd say is that I've got a friend. I called a friend in Michigan last week on Thursday, and just was talking to him a little bit about this and telling him we were going to have to stop doing our services in person, do them online, and he said, "Oh, well, I used to live in like North Carolina. I still watch my church online every week there."
Yep.
And I said, "Well, what do you do for like the music part? If there's like a 15-20 minute worship set, what are you doing during that?" And he said he just cranks it up on the TV, and like he and his wife walk around the house doing other stuff, like cleaning or
Right.
cooking or whatever it is they're doing in that moment while the worship is playing, singing along as they kind of are doing all these other things, and then they come back in for the rest of it. My guess is everybody's going to kind of figure out what works for them in that spot. Some people might sit there and sing along as a family, as a couple, alone if they're single watching it. Some people might just watch it almost like it's a performance song and just sit and listen and just soak in the words. Everybody's going to kind of be different. And I guess the thing would be to say, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. Everybody's going to experience this differently.
Yeah, and here's a great thing about this sort of thing, and also I would say about CrossWinds as a church is that we, whichever way that you experience these services that we're sending home to you on Sundays in your home or on your iPad, on your iPhone as you go for a walk, in your car, whatever, whichever way you experience that, no one can tell you that's not how you're supposed to experience it. Like
Yeah.
you are, we are all made different. I've talked to people who they're like, yeah, worship in a group, is not my thing, but worship by myself with earphones in, that's my thing. That's how I connect with God. I've talked to people who are like, I gotta have it loud. I gotta have it, a certain way. And who are we to tell you how you're supposed to enter into worship? This is such an exciting opportunity for our people to figure out what helps their heart connect the most with God. And I have no doubt that when this is all said and done, and CrossWinds, you have to hear me. This is all going to be said and done at some point. We're not doing this forever. We're gonna eventually move on. We're gonna be back to meeting in our room. It's gonna be great. I don't
Although
doubt
it may be a little longer than we
it might
thought.
be a while. It might be a while.
But sorry, go on with your thought. It
But
was
I
about to
have
be
I,
inspirational.
I I have no doubt that some of us are going to be talking and kind of sharing what our experience was like when we were locked up in our homes quarantining, and some of us might go, man, I had some really awesome moments experiencing Jesus in that. And
Yeah.
I never would have
Yeah.
experienced God in those moments if there wouldn't have been this, what we've been talking about, this kind of decree for us to pause and rest. There are some of us who need this more than we even knew. And that is why this moment in time matters way more than just a matter of health and safety and security. What matters is that right now in this moment, a lot of us are learning new ways to connect with God. It don't have anything to do with big groups or big rooms or loud music. We're learning that right now.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question: what does the future hold during this season for our services? Like, we know we'll have worship. We know there's going to be a sermon, a message. Uh, CrossWinds has been so known for these creative elements that happen on the in between, whether it's a drama or a short video somebody went out and shot in the city,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Like this weekend, how are we managing? What are we doing to be creative?
Well, that's the great thing about our team. What I love about our team so much is that with this team that I serve with, the creativity and the ideas never stop. And so, there were some things that were like, hey, we could probably, if you guys ever listen to Chris talk about the way we kind of plan our services, we plan these out weeks or even sometimes months in advance. We pride ourselves on being ahead of the curve a little bit. And so that is interesting for when you think about, hey, what happens when something like this, takes place and all of a sudden we have to scrap some of those plans. And what I love about our team is, the ability to use like Skype and Zoom to still continue meeting, to continue brainstorming, to continue kind of pivoting and thinking about, man, different things we can do. And so what you're going to see in the weeks to come is obviously filmed services, filmed worship experiences, filmed teachings, but also filmed elements that we think are going to help create tension and drive home a point that's going to make it feel like this is still going to be CrossWinds. And the really cool thing is that you guys are going to get a chance to be a part of it. You're going to get a chance to start helping us make these things. I just sat down and had a meeting over the phone with one of our creative team members who's putting together an element for next week. That's going to involve people this person's reaching out to, sending in videos of them talking and speaking. We're going to on our own edit together and make an element, and it's going to be great. And so I think what we're going to see is the same CrossWinds feel just adapted to our new like present reality, and that excites
That's
me.
great.
It's a way to pivot. I'm really excited about it for sure.
Yeah, I think there's opportunity here actually for more of our congregation to get involved in the actual service that gets shown. We've had,
absolutely.
musicians reach out and say, "Hey, look, I can still do something over video." We've got some other ideas that we've kind of put into place. You'll be seeing those over the next few weeks, which leads me to my last question, Derek.
Yes.
What are we going to do about Easter, man? Like, we've had multiple Easter plans and ideas that we have been working on. I have so initially we had a brainstorming that we took like an all day thing, and we went and figured out exactly what our Easter service was going to be. We were
Like
very
months
excited
ago,
about
right? This is a while
yes.
ago.
We're excited about what we were doing for Easter this year. Okay, last week when all of this stuff started going down and we realized we may not be back in person by Easter, we said, all right, if that doesn't happen, what could we do if people kind of have to stay out of big groups? And this was our brilliant idea that we were all excited about. We're going to pull a flatbed truck up into the courtyard right off the parking lot. We'll have everybody drive in their cars.
Right.
We'll get some FM transmitters that we hook up to.
Church.
Yeah, we'll do it like a drive-in movie theater. You sit in your car and watch the Easter service happen live in front of you on a stage that's like on a flatbed truck. The band plays. We'll still do whatever else we had planned. It's going to be great. Well, now we have a shelter-in-place order that at least is taking us to the week before Easter, from what I can tell. And who knows? Maybe it'll still be going by then. What are we going to do for Easter? What are you thinking?
Well, let me just say this as someone I grew up in the church. I've been a part of the church. I have led worship and creative teams in the church almost my entire life. This is the only year I can ever remember thinking about Easter and going, wow, we're not going to be able to meet for Easter. I mean, that's the reality, right, Chris? Like right now, as we look at it, Easter is 24 days away, I think.
Yep.
And that shelter in place warning that Alameda County is under, maybe it's lifted, maybe it's not. I can tell you this, we're not going to be allowed to safely meet in a building by the time Easter comes around.
Yeah, even if we're allowed to leave the house,
Right.
I don't know that people are going to be wanting to go be in a room full of other people
Totally.
for sure, or we'll even be allowed to do that, right?
And so there's a little bit of acceptance that has to happen, I think, with us. I've been thinking it through, and it's very surreal, right? There's one level of, hey, we can't do church this weekend. Okay, that's fine. We can send it home. We're doing that. And then Easter, man, Easter's like the Super Bowl, right? They don't cancel the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah,
man, I'll be honest. I'm excited because I know that whatever we do is going to have to be creative. It's going to be most likely a filmed experience, but we're going to have to find a way to get CrossWinds you to engage and connect with what we're doing. And I just don't doubt that you're going to go with us. You guys are going to be a game for anything. Um, there were some elements that we had planned that we filmed actually that morning last week when Chris called and to even start the conversation. Sean's one of our film guys. We were out filming for Easter Sunday. We were filming a story. And I think that story is still good. I think the stuff we brainstormed, Chris, I think it's still good. I think
yeah,
it's still timely. And
right.
and so
Yeah, we may have to just figure out a new way to do the same thing. So
right. But our
that's
plans
part of
don't
what we'll do.
change, man. We're still gonna worship. We're still gonna celebrate. Um Easter isn't canceled.
Yeah,
It looks different right now.
right,
And
right.
and man, I don't know, Chris. You spoke about this, I think, last week when we were filming your sermon. So people saw, part one of our Fermata series that came out last Sunday. You probably heard Chris say this. There's a little bit of us. I think it's a leadership trait. I think you and me are similar in this. That sees stuff like this and gets kind of excited. Like, all right, here we go. And that's kind of how I feel about Easter. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that whatever happens, God's going to be there in the midst of it. God's going to move. God's going to use us and use technology to impact, change lives, change hearts, to wake people up. And that matters. That's huge. And so you asked what we're going to do for Easter. I don't know, man, but it's going to be great. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I imagine it'll continue to have a lot of interactive elements in it, maybe more than ever because of us being digital and online. So, Derek, what is the best way for people to keep their eyes out for our asks for them to get involved with our creativity? How are you letting people know we need you to call in or we need you to send us a picture or whatever?
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll say this, man. One of the things that we have going for us as a church, Crosswinds, is our even before this whole thing took place, our connectivity and our community on social media is awesome. So I'm thinking specifically of Instagram, at CrossWinds Church, and Facebook, which is CrossWinds Church CA. Um, our community there stays. They connect, they engage. There's discussions. There's things happening. In fact, a lot of things we've done in the past from filming has been to reaching out from people on Instagram and Facebook, going, "Hey, will you do this? Will you join us with this?" And so, what I want to encourage everyone is, if you're not following us on Instagram, if you're not connecting with us on Facebook, to do that. Um, you've probably found out, if you're connected with us on Instagram or Facebook, that we are doing a lot of our communication through those means, um, and we found it to be pretty reliable. And I'm just excited because this is where the church kind of is right now. Right, we're living in that moment where, um, much like our larger, just normal everyday community, online is kind of where we're at, right? We're on Facebook or on Instagram. We're checking out lives. We're keeping up with people. We did a thing the other night where we kind of did prayer requests on Instagram, and people send in their prayer requests and we pray for them live. Our kids team, Josh Piney and his team, they're doing live look-ins with kids on Instagram, and doing live chats and putting out awesome content. I would just say across the board, man, connect with us on Instagram and Facebook, because that is how you're going to connect it to what CrossWinds is doing and how we're leading you through this really unique season.
Great. All right, Derek. Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, man,
Excited
for
to see
sure.
what happens during this, and
Can't wait.
appreciate your leadership in all of it.
Oh, man, thank you for sure.